Hey everyone, it's Nick and Walker at Full Spectrum Laser, and welcome to Laser Talk Live.
That's right, we're going live again right here at Full Spectrum Laser. It's 4 o'clock, it's Wednesday. It's time for Laser Talk.
Yeah, boy, what are we talking about?
So it's the great outdoors we're talking about this week. It is the middle of summertime. It is a gorgeous 114 degrees out here in Las Vegas today. I mean, just ideal for being outside in the sun. And while the rest of the country is outdoors enjoying the summer, people don't know, like those of us that live in the desert, we are inside like it's the middle of winter. We are, instead of cooled around our heaters, we are around our AC units, and we're just trying to stay cool.
That are continuously breaking.
Absolutely. Actually, just one here today at our office. So outdoor, you can do lots of things with your laser. We actually did one yesterday on In the Cut. We did an engraving of a granite piece that we're actually going to place at the top of a hike here in town.
Now, when you say we, you.
We actually refer to myself and my dog Lola. We'll go up since we can make the hike. For the people like you that can't quite endure something.
Yeah, a mile's a bit hard for me, right?
Well, it's a mile and a half, and it's all vertical. So you are climbing up over 1,000 feet in that mile.
It's all about mass, building mass. Cardio's bad for you. Building mass.
That's what I hear.
Yeah.
Don't do cardio. Just eat red meat and lift weights.
No, red meat. raw animals.
Raw animals, just raw.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of the vegan diet. You just literally raw animals.
All protein.
Well, while you're being outdoors and while you're camping, whether you're by the pool, barbecuing, or what have you, there's a lot you can do with your laser to help with the outdoors. So some outdoor living spaces, you can do signage, which is a really easy thing to do.
Lots of cool signage.
Lots of cool signage. You actually did a really cool big Tiki Guy sign, didn't you?
For a tiki bar outside.
This is a huge tiki bar. It actually had some open close signs that went on the front. And I think you actually did this, speaking of outdoors, you did this skate deck as well, right?
Yeah, we did that on the Pro, and that took about, I want to say, 45 minutes on the 48.
Absolutely, and if we can get a good look, is it gonna
at the depth on that thing?
Some pretty cool. Am I doing it well? No.
You'll catch up, maybe.
All right. Well, either way, really cool engraving on the bottom of the skateboard. So whether it's personalizing or just putting your name and engraving on stuff, you can really put a mark on just about anything for outside.
Anything. You could do cool stuff with snowboards, just pretty much anything.
Absolutely, and you actually made some cool cooler labels on one of the previous projects, right? These are for free on the website. So if you ever had the barbecue party where there's a little bit of confusion of what's inside each cooler, as you have like 20 of them lined up on your deck, you can always make a few of these cool little cooler signs.
Yeah, just in case you don't want to bend over, after that hike, definitely.
Absolutely, and speaking of, you'll probably be thirsty after the hike, so another easy thing you can do for the summertime, which everyone loves, engraving tumblers, like this one here, really easy one. I think it's what is that, Spaceman moonwalking?
That's Yeti with that's
Bigfoot. The Bigfoot with the boombox. That's a good one. So outdoors has tons of different things. We actually have some examples to pull up here. Some of the different things you can do with your outdoor space. This is actually done on a compact fiber. This is a metal cut sign. This is great for not only things like you see here, like a campground or address signs, but you could really do any type of outdoor signage with this metal cutting, right?
And what I like about this one is they left it raw and just let it get rusty.
Absolutely. In the desert here, that's a look. That's actually a style.
Yeah. Back east, everything just
in the Midwest,
happens.
We just call that neglect.
Yeah.
That's just what happens when you leave it outside.
I like that.
So we got another sign here. It's actually a room divider for an outdoor living space. This was done on a 4-foot by 8-foot laser, which talk about a great addition to an outdoor space. It's this real simple room divider, which kind of breaks up the outdoor deck to the kind of looks like maybe a sunroom there.
Yeah, we have a flatbed that will cut up to 4-foot by 8-foot, and we should do something like that.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So if you can imagine the size of a door, 4-foot by 8-foot's fine now. Here's another sign you could do, either metal cut or cut out of a thick wood that's finished well. It's a great sign for someone's farm. So whether it's someone's ranch that you go out to and hang out with, a lake house or what have you, signage is a great thing for outdoor use with your laser. We got a few more examples here, Charles, to pull up. This is a great one, the Watering Hole Cafe. This is a great deep engraving with some laser cut letters on top. Looks like, I think we got one more from a lake house as well, don't we, Charles? Yeah, this is a great easy one for Crystal Lake. I mean, that's a great engraving right there. Real good use of negative space and doing a depth engraving recess. Looks really great there. So lots of different opportunities to use outdoor things. We're actually going to make a cornhole set over the next 2 days.
What's
right?
cornhole?
Cornhole's bag toss. It's you have the little sandbags. You toss it in the flat board with the hole in the middle.
Okay.
You get a point for getting on the board. You get 3 points going inside. You've heard of cornhole before.
Yeah.
So we're gonna make an office-sized cornhole set before you go. Looks like we got some hellos to take care of on Facebook.
Janet, hello.
Hey, what's going on, Dennis? Good to see you. It's date night. Jeanette Desnell. Glad to join you on date night. Parker Adams, how's it going, sir? John and Jeanette, nice to see you guys tuning in. And Scott Lipsy looks like tuning in from Las Vegas, Nevada.
What a
Thanks
great
for tuning in.
guy.
What a great guy. I love that guy, Scott. He's always watching our videos. So now we're going to talk about something very serious, which is applicable to all machines. And we're going to look at a couple of machines as we're talking about, but it's maintenance and maintaining your machine and keeping your machine just working its best, right? Like operating at optimal.
And especially for summer because it gets hot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's, I guess the first thing we can talk about is your cooler, chiller, or water bucket that you're using to cool your laser tube.
Now you've got your bucket option, you got your cool box option, then you got your chiller, and then your refrigerated chiller option.
So we can really break these down into two different. So let's talk about the bucket real quick. Then we can talk about our closed systems thereafter. With the bucket, it's warm out. So you got to remember your bucket water temperature is running at ambient temperature. So however warm it is outside, that's how warm the water is that's cooling your laser. Now, what's an easy thing you can do to keep that water temperature cool?
So you can add ice cubes. A lot of people fill up 2-liter buckets, like 2-liter jugs, bottles. Yeah, there we go. That's the word. And then you freeze it and throw it in there, and 2 of those will keep your thing cool for quite a while.
Absolutely. So just upcycle a few, plastic bottles you have and throw that in the bucket. That'll help out a whole lot. Also keep in mind that the summer is usually dustier. There's usually a little more particulates in the air. Maybe keep a lid on, or a lot of people use just a piece of saran wrap or tin foil over the top of their bucket. Those buckets all come with lids though, and it's really easy just to drill a couple of 1/4-inch holes in the top and run your tubing in and out of there. And that's really the best and easiest solution. That's almost like creating a closed system for your laser if you can keep the lid sealed.
Yeah, drill holes, put the silicone tubing through, and then just silicone around it, and it's closed.
Absolutely. So now speaking of the closed systems, like with the water bucket, you want to keep that switched out about once a month, the water in the bucket. With your closed systems, how often do you want to keep those switched out for your cool boxes and chillers?
Let's say what, every 4 months?
4 to 6 months is what's suggested. All depends on use though.
Yeah.
Now you want to use distilled water with this at all times.
Always distilled.
Now the reason is whether it is bottled water that's from a spring or your tap water, there's lots of solids and different living organisms inside that water. So that's where your algae comes from, the different buildups on your tube, and you really want to avoid that. So always use distilled water.
Avoid making kombucha in your laser.
Absolutely, you don't need to be distilling anything in the laser. Looks like Jeannie Kim tuning in. How's it going, Jeannie?
Hello.
Another thing you want to consider with the chiller is if you are operating out in your garage during the summertime, your ambient temperature for like a CW3000 is still going to struggle a bit. We've seen some people that they're outside, especially in temperatures like we have here in Nevada, they'll put in line another bucket or another bit of cooling in the line of their chiller. So if you can imagine, instead of drawing from the tube, they put essentially a water bucket in line with their laser tube that runs a cooler water in through the chiller. That's sort of a DIY home area, but what's the best thing you do? You can get a 5000, right?
Yeah, you get a 5000. It's refrigerated. You can control the temperature, and that's our best option for keeping cool.
Absolutely. So if you're in a hot weathered area and you're looking for the best option for your chiller, really just getting the CW5000 where you can have do temperature control on a refrigerated system is the best and most consistent way to keep your laser cooled as you're operating the hot summer months.
Oh, Thomas says hi.
Thomas.
Jason.
And Jason. So many hellos. Appreciate it, guys, tuning in once again. Now that's one of the accessories. Now another accessory a lot of people use is their exhaust fans and fume extractors. Now the exhaust fan is something that almost everyone uses. Now whether you're a pro user or a hobby user, the exhaust fans you want to keep cleaned out. Now about once a month, especially if you're doing a lot of wood cutting and wood engraving, you want to open up your exhaust fan, knock it out, get the dust out of there, get any of the buildup. Really those particulates and dust that builds up in the fan is really just an electrical fire waiting to happen. A little bit of spark or a short onto that is really easy to go. And also, like once that buildup goes in your exhaust fan, you're slowly degrading how well the exhaust fan works.
Yeah, one thing I totally neglected, not even thinking about it, is you're vaporizing material, and then even though it's blowing through that tube, it's going to catch through those little, what is that, like
Grates.
serrations?
Yeah, absorption.
So it's a thing to think about.
And then with your fume extractors, obviously keeping your pre-filters and your particulate filters clean will help extend the life of your carbon and other filters in your fume extractor. Now, you can take that out with just a shop vac and vacuum out your pre-filters and your particulate filters in your fume extractor, which is such a huge help as far as the amount of usable air quantity that can pull from your machine. Now, with airflow coming out of your machine, that affects a lot. Not only the smoke buildup inside the machine, but the quality of engraving you have. So if you notice your pull is, you're not pulling as much from your machine, more than likely your fume extractor is a little clogged, or your exhaust fan perhaps is not performing as high.
Yeah, you kind of have to think that laser is passing through all that smoke, and you want to draw it as much as possible, or else it starts spreading it and it's hitting particles and not being as precise as it should be.
Absolutely. Now, that's kind of your accessories. Now, getting into the machine, I suppose we should talk about the hobby machines first. Now, inside the Muse and the Hobby series have essentially the same inners, the same rail system, the same laser head. Obviously, the Muse has a camera, which is a bit different, but with your maintenance inside the machine, it's very similar going back and forth. So today we're going to show you on the Muse, but just know the general upkeep and maintenance would be the same on your Hobby laser as well.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll tell you what, I'll jump in with the small camera and we'll take a look. Do you want to talk about our rails and then maintaining the optics? And I'll kind of
we'll do that. Swap it over, picture in picture. Alrighty, question from Doug Williams. What is the recommended temp setting for a 5000? So it's going to default at 32 Celsius, and anything below that it can achieve is ideal. So thank you, Doug.
Walker small. All right, so here we are inside the machine. Now, the first thing we wanted to do is look at optics, right? So we have the gantry unlocked, and we're going to go back right here. Now, what's the first thing people want to look at back here as they're keeping this part of their laser clean?
So I would look at the beam combiner.
What's the beam combiner?
That is going to be your yellow little lens-looking thing right outside of the tube end, that business end of the tube. That beam combiner, that actually combines your laser diode, which is the red dot that isn't actually your laser, and then the actual laser, which is on the ultraviolet spectrum, which you can't see at all.
Right,
so it combines
the red
those
dot we
two.
see there is just the diode, right?
Yeah, it's just the red dot diode. So those are two different lasers combining with the beam combiner.
Okay, so keeping, what three things you want to keep clean there, right? You want to keep the beam combiner, the diode, and the mirror clean, right?
Yeah, definitely the mirror. On that left side, you can see the mirror. The beam combiner, that's something that people skip all the time. You want to keep that clean, and then the red dot diode could get something on there that would obstruct the way it's throwing its beam, so you could have like a kind of weird oblong red dot diode rather than a nice dot.
Absolutely. So then coming over to mirror 2, that's the next thing you want to align, right?
Yeah,
keep clean.
You want to keep this guy clean, and that's a great angle because you can never really see it that great from where you're in front of the machine, and that's where you'll do your adjustments. And you can see that little cutout on that side right there. That's where you're going to put your Allen to adjust that for your alignment.
All right. So then once bringing it right around to the laser head. What do we have going on here that we want to keep clean?
So there's mirror 3, that's your last mirror to your lens. Now keep that guy clean, and then you can just pop out that lens, right?
Yep.
What's cool about the Muse is you can just simply pop that thing out and clean it on both sides. It's important because some induction can possibly occur with your laser head. So always clean both sides, and I would do it about every time I use the Muse.
And then you want to keep the cone clean too, right?
Yeah, the cone can get buildup. So you're vaporizing wood all the time, you're cutting through glue. There's gonna be buildup that as it gets vaporized hits that cone. So it will get built up, and it will build up on the inside just a little bit just because it's building up on the outside. So always want to keep that clean and look at Nick from the machine.
Oh yeah, you can see me. Hey, hi. So right up there in the cone is what you're talking about, right there underneath.
Yes, the buildup in that hole can just continuously building up. And if you haven't cleaned for a long time, you'll see that the laser actually has punctured through all that buildup, which is mostly glue, really.
Parker Adams is asking what you use to clean the lenses.
Lenses,
Optic wipes.
optic wipes. So we have Zeiss. You want to put that in the...
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have Zeiss wipes, and that's what we use. They're really nice. You can get these at essentially any place, and they're for cleaning glasses and such. And it's got some solvent on it with a nice microfiber cloth, and you just use it and dispose it.
You can get these on Amazon. I think a box of 100 costs $6.
Oh, I was going to say a cent.
They're very, very inexpensive.
They're really cheap and really useful, and that's what you'll use to clean it. Do not use cotton. A lot of people use just like a cloth or something like that. Please use microfiber, because cotton will create micro scratches that are going to ruin your optics.
All right, let's talk about the rails and keeping these cleaned and greased.
Now, the rails themselves, this is a little different from a Pro, but the rails themselves will need grease eventually, and that's going to be a white lithium grease.
So white lithium grease, you can get it just about any auto parts store, any really hardware store,
Yeah,
right?
hardware store, you can get them all day, and you just put them on nice. Make sure those are clean. Put them on it just nice and evenly. You don't have to blob it on there. Actually, you don't want it to blob it on, because it will cause buildup. Anything.
So just a nice light
Yeah.
of application, and make sure you're cleaning the rail first too, right? And you got rails on both sides. So on both sides of the machine here, you got a rail that holds on the gantry system. Now, do you have to do any maintenance with your motors, your stepper motors?
No maintenance on the stepper motors, but if you see any slipping of the belt, where then you'd have to either change out your belt, check the tension, because if you're rastering and then there's like an odd skip or jump, it could be because the tension on the belt is either loose or that your belt is going bad.
Okay, so anything else you want to mention on the Muse as far as maintenance or cleanliness?
I'd say just general maintenance, keeping that tube clean is always nice.
So you see, this
Just
is a pretty well-maintained tube here.
Yeah, keeping
obviously
things
heavily
clean.
used, but you know, a lot of maintenance done on the tube to keep it nice and clean.
Yeah, just keeping everything clean will make everything run a lot more smoothly.
All right, so we'll jump over to the Pro machine then here, right? We have
Yeah.
one of our new Pro 24s, which has
Look how pretty it is.
Yeah, do we have the, I guess we can back up a little bit, got the Pro 24 in. Now we're a little jammed in here because of the area, but we can dive right into the machine here and talk about a few things now. You said that the rails were slightly different on the Pro than on the Hobby. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so these are your typical rails, and these you can apply grease a lot easier. And you will see on a Pro machine that they will build up, and you just want to clean those off and add the
right there,
white
actually.
lithium grease. Now that should be from the factory. There should be some grease right there, and as it travels, it will build up a little bit there. So checking that is a good thing. But always, again, white lithium grease for your rails.
So this is a good look. So if someone got their laser walker, this would be a normal look for their rails.
Yeah, as it moves up and down, it's going to build on either side of that that little bearing block on that rail.
Now that rail is also across the gantry too, right? So you
Yeah,
have
same
this-
X and Y.
Yeah, so, well, and then also the head moves across the gantry here, so there's a rail there that has to be greased as well, right?
Yeah.
So then what else on the Pro machine? Because we have the motorized Z-tables, right?
Yeah, the motorized Z-table, again, white lithium grease, and you don't have to grease those too often. So there we go. Those are nice and smooth, up and down. You just don't want to bring your Z-table so far down or so far up that it's hitting each bumper. And that's a big thing. And just making sure when you do put it up and down that the actual knife blade or honeycomb isn't impeding on its movement.
Now with the Pro, you have a slightly different situation here with the lenses and beam combiner, right? Do you want to talk about how this is a little bit different for cleaning?
Yeah. So on the actual Pro laser head, there is a lens inside, and you'll see on this model there's 2 thumb screws right there in the middle, and on the right of the laser head you loosen both of those, or just one really, and then you'll take that whole assembly off, pop off the air assist, and then you'll take apart the actual cone, revealing the lens. Now you can pop the lens out all the way to clean it, which you have a tool in your toolbox, or you can just keep it in there and just clean it nice from either end. So it's not too big of a deal. It's not as convenient as the Muse that just pops right out, but it is very straightforward.
So then, looks like we have a slightly different location though for one of our mirrors in the Pro, though, right?
Yeah, so that Pro tube is actually encased, but you'll still see the exact same setup as it is, like a Mirror 1, beam combiner, and then the red dot diode.
So on the Pro machine, the tube actually lives in the back of the body, right? It's not
Yeah.
located how it is in the back of the machine, like on the Hobby. So, anything else with the Pro machine that you wanted to mention as far as maintenance?
Pro machine, one of the biggest differences I think is the Z table, and I'd like to say that keeping your Z table nice and level is a big deal. If your Z table is off level, if you try to use it, it might get jammed, and then you have to grab the belts and adjust them, and it's just a huge pain in the butt that you want to avoid, because it does take getting used to hand move those Z tables. But you can if it is out of canter, I guess. That's the word.
Excellent. So, like I said, with the Pro Machine and the Hobby Series, slightly different things to consider, but really the same mentality is...
Microphone.
Is it off? Looks like I'm on.
Oh.
Can you hear me out there? What about now?
Sounds good.
Looks like we might have a microphone.
So I'm going to be interviewing you for the rest of the...
Looks like we might have just died. It's okay. We'll wrap this up kind of quick. Looks like we had a microphone die on us here. Not a big deal. So, like we said, with the Pro Series machines and the Hobby Series machines, there's slightly different things to consider, but really the same mentality going about keeping both of them maintained. Any more questions coming from the internet? So you'd use the same thing, Parker Adams, on the beam combiners you would on the lenses. Looks like we have Terrell in Cleveland asking, what should I do if my material catches fire during cutting? Luckily, you would not have left the laser side and you're standing there monitoring your laser cutting. You just pick up your fire extinguisher and put out that fire if needed be. But really, your machine can stop firing one of a few different ways. There's emergency stop on all the machines. On the Pro, it's a big red button you can smash. On the Muse, it's on the LCD screen. There's also the touch button on the LCD screen, on the physical button on the Muse on the top, which you can press that once to pause the job, press and hold it to stop it, or you can always hit the power button, which is a very easy fail-safe way to turn off the laser. But like I said, you always want to have a fire extinguisher close, and you always want to be monitoring your laser cut for sure.
Yeah, a lot of times I notice that it's not a fire really. It starts smoldering, right?
Smoldering or a flame up, right? So like you'll notice as you cut along the edge, you'll have that black burnt section, and that's usually what the issue is. Looks like we have one more. Are we good on the? Are we still broadcasting, Charles? Looks like we're not. I guess there's a problem with the feed over on the Facebook. Looks like I have one more question coming in from Austin, Texas. How worried should I be about carbon monoxide exposure, when using my laser cutter, and what can I do to protect myself? Well, I mean, anytime you burn something, carbon monoxide happens, right? So that's why we use exhaust systems, and we always vent outside. So using the exhaust is not an option with your laser. Like, you have to exhaust it out of doors or outside, because really you're starting a fire all the time. Like, you're always vaporizing something when you're cutting or engraving. So anytime you're removing any part of the material, it's really caught fire and changed state. So carbon monoxide worry. I wouldn't worry too much, especially if you're
venting it right in your mouth.
Yeah, I mean, if you're venting into like a air mask, I would say be worried about. But as long as you're venting outside, it shouldn't be too much to worry about. Especially using a fume exhaust or a fume extractor, really very little to worry about as far as that's concerned.
Now, they do have actual, if you're worried about, like, say your exhaust system has a failure or something like that, they do have detectors.
Absolutely. So you can always use a carbon monoxide detector in your makerspace and kind of monitor that. Most modern smoke detectors also monitor CO2 as well. So just something to keep in mind. If you're worried about that for your makerspace or educational space, maybe just getting a CO2 monitor for near the laser would be smart. But I wouldn't say that would be a huge fear or a concern of mine.
No, not at all. Normal.
Yeah, pretty normal. And then we did want to get to the weekly contest winner because we had a really cool winner from Canada this week, Morton Muskoka. They do Morton Muskoka chairs. Did this really great Lake Rosso sign here. If you remember from last week, so we did this type of engraving on In the Cut with a relief, and it's a great outdoor sign. We just thought it fit perfectly for this week. So great job, Morton Muskoka. Hey, cheers! Really good job. Looks just great. Check out their website for some great chairs. If you're up in the Ontario, Canada area, make sure you check them out for some Adirondack chairs and some customized laser engraving. Other than that, make sure you come out and check out the we have the survey to fill out and a few other things like that down below. So check those out and make sure you give us a link and a click so you can give us some feedback on kind of what we have going on. Tomorrow we'll be doing it In the Cut with cloth. So we'll be doing a cut on the Muse using fabric. Tune in for that. And then we also on Friday we're making that cornhole set with Walker and Scott. Sorry for rushing a little bit. We're just trying to make it happen quick with the microphone. So come back and check us out on Thursday and Friday at 4 o'clock for In the Cut and our live weekly maker series 1 hour build with Walker and Scott as they make our projects there that we provide weekly on our website. So make sure you check out laser101.fslaser.com for all your information on your system, material tests, free samples, all that kind of stuff. And then make sure you check us out on YouTube is where we'll be doing our In the Cut live videos. So if you enjoyed seeing those live projects being made and cut on all the different types of machines, those Tuesday and Thursday videos will be on YouTube. So look for that on YouTube Live. We'll post them on Facebook as we did on YouTube as well after they're done. But if you're looking for that live cut, always tune in on Tuesdays and Thursdays on YouTube. Walker will be there to answer any questions. He's always hanging out, kind of giving insights on what's going on. And sometimes we have special guests like Frankie or Phil or other people around the company that just have more insight on that machine, software, or application. So until next time, make sure you're using those lasers, making cool things, and tuning in to Laser Talk 1 hour build and In the Cut here at Full Spectrum Laser. So for Walker, Scott, Charles, and everyone here at Full Spectrum Laser, thanks for tuning in.